All right, the moment of truth. It is here. The wild card playoffs are finally arriving this weekend. I've made 2 videos about playoff predictions on my channel within the past couple of months, and I quickly skimmed through them just to see how wrong or accurate I was. And in both sets of predictions, one was at the very beginning of the year when I think only 1 or 2 games were played, and then one was in the middle of the year when I believe it was week 11 or 12. I think I got maybe 80 to 90% accuracy on teams who would be making it to the playoffs, and I think I got some of the seeding right and obviously some of the seeding wrong. But now that the playoffs are fully scheduled, the seeding is in, the teams are preparing for their games, I am now just going to simply be predicting the game outcomes and who will finally make the Super Bowl. So let's get into it. So this weekend, the NFL is doing playoff games on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And I gotta be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of the Monday slot because I think that whoever does end up winning that Monday game, which of course now is the Rams and the Cardinals, whether or not the Rams win or the Cardinals win, I kind of think it's a little bit of a low blow to both of those teams, because if they're required to obviously play the next week, they get 1 day less of preparation, and especially too if those teams have to go off and play Green Bay. Green Bay has a full extra week of relaxation and rest and preparation than that past team does. And they obviously get rewarded with that because they are the first seed. But I mean, playing on Monday, it might be silly to sit here and say, what's 1 extra day going to do? But it is actually a very big deal that 1 day can literally change everything. Not a big fan of the Monday slot, but look, we have it. It is what it is. Got to move on. So when we look at this bracket, we obviously have the Green Bay Packers at the number 1 slot and the Tennessee Titans at the number 1 in the AFC. So let's start with the AFC. We're going to go all the way up to its Super Bowl contender, and then we'll move over to the NFC and do the exact same thing. So let's start with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Las Vegas Raiders. First thing I think that needs to be said about Las Vegas Raiders is good for them for even making it to this spot. When we saw them at the beginning of the year, I don't think it was impossible for them to be here, considering they were, I believe, undefeated at one point and they were just doing really, really well. But then obviously with the firing of John Gruden, the releasing of Henry Ruggs, and a couple of other things that have gone on in that organization, the team started to fall apart. And they deserve a lot of credit for even being in this situation right now. What is very unfortunate for them is going up against a team like the Cincinnati Bengals, who are firing on all the right cylinders as of right now. It does look like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase cannot be stopped. I don't know if that is how you stop them. I'm not sure if that's how it's going to be done. Las Vegas Raiders need to go into this game feeling happy they even made a postseason appearance, but other than that, I can't see them being the Cincinnati Bengals, so Cincinnati moves on to the divisional round. Then we move on to the New England Patriots versus the Buffalo Bills. And I have a lot of people very close to me in my life who happen to be New England Patriots fans, as I'm sure 90% of the population have a lot of people in their life who are Patriots fans. But this game was actually very hard for me to choose. Even when I'm going to make my final prediction on this, I don't fully know if I even believe it. I just think this game is such a 50-50 game, but I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. I feel like Buffalo will be able to come out stronger in a very important game, especially too with New England. Of course, you have Belichick. Of course, this defense is primed to win already, but I think the issue is the offense. I think the offense is a little too young for the postseason, maybe next year, but once again, I think the Patriots need to feel very proud for how far they've come, and I do have the Buffalo Bills moving forward in the divisional round, although I will just say this right now, if the Patriots do happen to pull off the win in that game, I won't fully be surprised. Like I said, this is a very 50-50 game. or in my case, 51% Buffalo, 49% New England. Okay, then we move on to probably one of the biggest separations in the teams, not just because it's a 2nd seed and a 7th seed, but the Kansas City Chiefs and the Pittsburgh Steelers are on completely different playing fields. The Pittsburgh's offense does not operate at the high level that Kansas does, and even though there was a lot of shit talking about Kansas's defense throughout the season, bingo, I was one of them. I always talked about how bad they were. In this last part of the season, they've been a top 5, if not top 3, if not top 2 defense, 100%. Now, that is definitely the good thing Pittsburgh has going for them with T.J. Watt, even though I'm wearing a 99. I'm supporting Donald all the way. I do think the Defensive Player of the Year award has to go to T.J. Watt on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that defense is certainly good enough to change the course of a game. I just think Kansas City is playing way too well of football right now to not only lose to the Steelers, but to lose in the first round of the playoffs. And Ben Roethlisberger, I think there's a reason this is his last year. I don't think he has what it takes to move forward any farther. So, Kansas divisional round. Moving over into the divisional for the AFC, let's start with the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Buffalo Bills. I am going to have to take the Kansas City Chiefs in this as well. I think the piece that is going to be missing for the Buffalo Bills to make it any farther than a divisional round is simply going to be the fact that they don't have a running game. They haven't had a running game all year, and I don't know how often it is that a team makes it deep or even into the Super Bowl without a running game, and you cannot rely on Josh Allen to throw the ball 50 times in a game. And even if you can rely on that, you shouldn't have to rely on that. I'm going to use the same excuse for the Kansas City Chiefs. I just think they are playing way too good of football right now to lose to the Buffalo Bills in the state they are currently in. If this was a Buffalo Bills team from last year who moved into this year and made better changes, better arrangements, and were playing better than they were last year, I would end up taking Buffalo. At the beginning of the year, I thought I was going to be taking Buffalo as a potential Super Bowl favorite. I don't see that in them. Kansas City Chiefs, conference round. Then the other divisional game, we have the Tennessee Titans versus the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm going to be honest here. I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals. The Titans are a team that I still don't fully understand how they snuck into the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. I'm not saying they're a bad team because they're not, but I'm not saying they're an amazing team because I don't feel like they are. I don't feel comfortable sitting here saying that I would trust Ryan Tannehill to take us to the big game, especially without Derrick Henry. But the issue now becomes that even if Derrick Henry is healthy and he's there, which I'm pretty sure he's going to be, I'm still going to take the Bengals. I think this is the time of year where a lot of the underdogs try to prove everything wrong, which is exactly what you want to do. But I think this would be Cincinnati's way to essentially say, nah, we are not getting run over by Derrick Henry all game. This guy is just coming off an injury, and even if he is strong enough to come back and play full time, we're going to make sure that they know we prepared for him, and we're not going to let that happen. I just think Cincinnati Bengals are a dark horse team that no one expected to be this high powered and this hot right now. So Cincinnati Bengals crush the Titans' dream after securing the 1 seed and having a fresh extra week to prepare. Now, moving on into the conference championship, we have the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Cincinnati Bengals, the number 2 seed versus the number 4 seed. Wow. Is this an interesting one? Because this is another one that I am conflicted in. I really don't know who to choose here. It feels a lot harder than maybe it should. Maybe there are a lot of people here who are saying it's easy. It's the Chiefs. Maybe there are a lot of people saying like, no, stick with the Bengals. It is very difficult because the Chiefs are experienced in this position, whereas the Bengals nowhere near are experienced. At this point, I think it would be amazing if the Bengals even made it to a conference round the way I have them making it to the conference round. I think it is super easy, and it probably might be the right decision to take the Chiefs over the Bengals, but I want to be different. And I'm going to be different. I'm going to go with my gut and say that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to pull off a bunch of upsets and a bunch of surprises to get them to the Super Bowl. I think the Bengals have what it takes to make it to the big game this year. And how exciting would it be to see a Super Bowl where we're not constantly seeing the same teams make it over and over and over again? If the Chiefs make it this year, that's 3 years in a row. Honestly, good for them. You can't hate on teams or players who constantly make it. It shows you how good their organization is. The Cincinnati Bengals have already beaten the Kansas City Chiefs this year, and I know you can't sit here and say, well, that is guaranteed to happen again. Usually when you have to play a team in the playoffs that you've already beaten, it doesn't always go perfectly for you, especially if you are the one who won it. But I'm going to say that this happens to be the down year, if you want to call it, for the Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe they're just not capable of picking up their feet and clinging on to a game that they maybe should have in the bag, and the Cincinnati Bengals take it all the way to the Super Bowl. All right, let's talk about the NFC wildcard games now. So we're going to start off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is also actually a really interesting game. I think a lot of people are just counting out the Eagles, and I completely understand why. When you look at the Eagles' schedule, who they've beaten and how they've gotten here, they certainly don't look like they do belong here. But you know what? We are here now, and they are here now. And this game, I have this weird feeling that it's either gonna be like a 42-9 blowout for the Buccaneers, or for some reason, it's gonna be a 21-18 win for the Buccaneers. I do think the Buccaneers are going to win this game no matter what, but I don't think there's an in-between. It's either going to be a blowout or it's going to be a really hard-fought game, but overall, the Buccaneers move to the next round in the divisional. Now, the next game, two of the worst teams to ever exist, Dallas Cowboys because of their fans, and the San Francisco 49ers because I dislike everything about your team, your organization, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to spend any more time on this team than I have to. I'm just kidding. If you're a Cowboys fan or a 49ers fan, I respect you. I'm not going to lie to you though. I cannot stand the San Francisco 49ers. But God, do I respect you guys. You have beaten us 6 times in a row now. Deebo Samuel can do everything. Jimmy Garoppolo, you do need to move on from him. But overall, that team, you guys deserve to be in these playoffs because simply the way that you play the Rams, you just have our number. You guys could be a 6-10 team, but when you play the Rams, you're like a 15-1 team. But moving on from my own personal gripes about that, San Francisco versus Dallas Cowboys. This is another very interesting game, another really hard one to choose. It is being played in Dallas, which is where I do think Dallas gets a huge amount of momentum. Although the 49ers, you guys making it into the playoffs now, you have even extra momentum. You might have more momentum than Dallas. I do think Dallas, though, is a little overrated. I think they're a good team, don't get me wrong. I think you guys are a solid 7.5 out of 10, but I think everyone is hyping you guys to be a 10 out of 10, an 11 out of 10 team, and I'm sorry, I just don't see it. And hey, Cowboys, prove me wrong, roll into these playoffs and be that 11 out of 10 team. I just don't feel that. I feel like you guys are awfully too inconsistent. When the offense is good, the defense isn't. When the defense is good, the offense isn't. Who knows? Maybe you can prove me wrong. But with that being said, I'm going to have the 49ers walking out with the W, and it's going to be a pretty close game separated by 3 or 4 points, but the 49ers move on to the divisional. But then we move on to the game that is keeping me up at night, that is making my stomach feel queasy, that is just overall making me nervous, and I shouldn't be nervous with a Rams team that is capable of beating anyone on any day of the week, but now we are in the playoffs. And look, if you're new to this channel and new to me, whenever I've made Rams content here, I have said that I've had the Rams winning it all this year, going to the Super Bowl at home and winning it. And there have been moments in this season where I've been, yes, they are. No, they're not. Okay, maybe. In my last playoff prediction video, I kept it current to where the league was at that moment, and I kept it unbiased. And I said that Green Bay was going to take it all, and that the Rams were probably going to lose in the divisional. But in this moment in time, I have to stay true to myself. That doesn't mean they're going to go win the Super Bowl, of course, but I have to stay true to what I believe they are capable of doing right now, and that is beating the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Arizona Cardinals are falling apart at the worst time possible. They should have had the NFC West clinched up, but the Rams swooped in and stole it from them because AZ was losing games and Rams were just winning games. I think another huge factor with the Cardinals is they are not experienced in the playoffs the way a Sean McVay is, and I just don't think Cliff Kingsbury is all that consistent. He finds ways to literally and metaphorically fumble the ball when it gets into these tight positions like this, and I just think the Rams are going to end up kicking out the Arizona Cardinals and moving on to the divisional. Now, moving to the divisional, we'll start with the Green Bay Packers versus the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm pretty sure they already played once this season, and Green Bay did end up winning. And I know I made that comment about teams who replay each other. It doesn't always go well for that previously winning team in the playoffs. I just think Green Bay is far too good of a team to lose in the divisional. I do think Green Bay ends up beating San Francisco 49ers, and Green Bay ends up going to the conference round. I believe that Aaron Rodgers cannot keep himself away from an NFC championship game every single year. He always walks into that game, and I can't see, even though the 49ers team all around is a good team, I can't see them taking that from Aaron Rodgers. And then as for the second divisional game, Rams versus Buccaneers. This is a very interesting game as well. The past 2 times the Rams have played the Buccaneers, they have beat the Buccaneers. Once was away in Tampa last year, and once was this year in LA. Of course, when you look at Tampa Bay, and obviously the whole Tom Brady speech, you can't count him out, you can never doubt him, it's true, you can't. I don't think that the Buccaneers team is as good to go as it was last year. Obviously, they are suffering from notable injuries and people jumping around and parading off the field like an Antonio Brown. But something about this year just hasn't felt like their year. And personally, I don't see them making it to another conference game this year. I do have the Rams walking into Tampa Bay and walking out of Tampa Bay, moving forward into the NFC Championship game. I can already hear and feel and taste and see the Los Angeles Rams hate right now for anyone who isn't a Rams fan. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm sticking with my gut. LA to the next round. So now the big game in the NFC, Los Angeles Rams versus Green Bay Packers. And obviously Los Angeles will be in Lambeau Field, which is always a scary place to play. It just feels like Rodgers and Green Bay can never be defeated in Lambeau. That is until he reaches an NFC championship. How many times has Aaron Rodgers lost this round in the NFL playoffs? How many times have they fallen just this short to make it to the big game. Obviously, the Rams have experience playing in this stadium. They played the divisional round against them last year. They had a game this season where they were on the road and played in Lambeau, and everyone wants to talk about how the Rams got shellacked in that game. They really didn't. If you go back and look at how the Rams played, it really wasn't all that bad. It was actually a relatively close game. The Rams make their third trip to Lambeau Field in the past year and a half. I think third time's a charm. The Rams move on to the Super Bowl. Did you really think I was going to sit here, make a video about the NFL playoff predictions, wear an Aaron Donald jersey, my favorite NFL team, and not pick the Rams to go to the Super Bowl? I can't do that to my boys. I gotta support all the way. I've said it since the year started, even before the year started. The Rams were gonna go to the Super Bowl and they were gonna win. I have to stick by my word. Even if there are times where I feel like, it's not going to happen. I got to keep that hope alive. I can't be sitting here and putting in words of negativity in the world. I can't say the Rams aren't going to make it and have that come true. I'd rather say the Rams are going to make it and not have it come true. At least I kept true to my word and my gut. And in all honesty, unbiasedly, I think the Rams have what it takes. I'm not going to go through it because I've mentioned about it before in other videos I've made, but their team is primed to do this. And the Rams are great after losing games. Historically, they tend to be under Sean McVay. Whenever Sean loses, he goes on a tear of winning streaks. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I just firmly believe they're good enough to do it. And for anyone out there still doubting Matthew Stafford, saying he can't do it, I'm just going to say this right now. Yes, he's had an interception issue recently within the past couple of games, but really go look at his stats. He's basically top 3 in everything. He's the best fourth quarter quarterback in the league, and he has all the tools he needs to help this team get to the big game. Los Angeles Rams to the Super Bowl. And if you don't like me and you hate my prediction, good. So now it's the big game. It's Los Angeles Rams versus the Cincinnati Bengals in the Los Angeles Super Bowl, hosted in the SoFi Stadium. The Rams have completed what the Buccaneers did last year. They made a Super Bowl in their own home stadium. That is, if fans want to actually show up, unless it's just going to be all 49ers fans, like it was last week. With this team of coaches and players, I can't see Sean McVay going into the Super Bowl and losing this one. Aaron Donald wants it bad. Jalen Ramsey wants it bad. Von Miller wants number 2 bad. Cooper Kupp wants this bad. Matthew Stafford wants this bad. Andrew Whitworth wants this bad. Sean McVay wants this bad. And all LA Rams fans want this bad. At this point, I think the Rams would have way too much going for them to not win this game. I do have the Los Angeles Rams winning the Super Bowl of 2021. I can just smell the hatred coming from everyone who's not a Rams fan. You know, I may be targeted as biased here for having my favorite team win the Super Bowl, and something I always remind on this channel is that not every year I have the Rams going to the Super Bowl. I didn't have them going to the Super Bowl last year. I didn't have them going the year before that. Even the year they went to the Super Bowl, I didn't have them going then. I had them losing in the conference round. This year was different for me. I really felt they could go all the way. I've believed it all year, even though my thoughts have gone up and down with them. I'm sticking by it. I do believe they can do it. They have the tools, and I think they can get there. Sometimes the best thing about winners is that they are faced with adversity, and I think the Rams have been faced with tons of adversity this year. Players like Deshaun Jackson giving up on the team, injuries like currently Ernest Jones, Jordan Fuller, Taylor Rapp, Robert Woods, which is a much bigger concern than people thought it was when it first happened. Losing 3 games in a row when you know mentally and internally in that team, they know they shouldn't have lost that many games, but it happened. Going from a potential 5th or 6th seed all year to snagging the West, and yeah, they didn't get the 2 seed, but they still got a divisional seed in the number 4. I just fully believe the Rams do have what it takes. I think they have done everything they've done this year to make it to the big game, and I do think that the best is in front of them, and they're only going to play lights out from here. This is just a personal opinion. This is what I think it is going to be. This obviously might not even happen. It could fall into the favor of the Chiefs or the Packers or the Buccaneers. Who knows? This is just what I think is going to happen. And if you disagree with me and you think something else, that's cool, baby. That's good. But if you're going to sit there and you're going to shit talk me for having the Rams go all the way, well then good. I like that. But for real, it's all fun. It's all good. It's all cool. And I think the Rams can do it. But I did have a second possibility where I did have the Green Bay Packers going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. That is if the Rams and Bengals don't make it, or even just simply the Rams. And in that scenario, I do have the Green Bay Packers winning the Super Bowl there. Regardless, I don't have an AFC team winning a Super Bowl. I do have the Super Bowl being on the NFC side. But that's it for this playoff prediction, guys, and the last playoff prediction of the year. Let's enjoy these NFL playoffs and see where we end up sitting in another month from now. And just like usual, I will talk to you all very soon. And whose house? Rams house, baby. Let's go.